My guest today believes main streets are not just for shopping, they're for culture and community. Leslie Ramos, Executive Director of 82nd Street Partnership. Leslie, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here today.
What does a healthy commercial district looks like for you?
To me, a healthy commercial district is not only about the mix of businesses that meet the need of the community, but it's also a place where people want to be. It is where neighbors meet each other. It is where you can just run your all your errands, but at the same time stop and have coffee with your neighbors or your friend, where you can meet people and you can exchange music. You could exchange conversations about politics or football. I think that is a healthy to me a Main Street. It's not just a place where you just stop for a second and run an errand. It's a place where you enjoy yourself and enjoy who you are and the people that are around you.
And what does that look like on 82nd Street? Because for our viewers who don't know, I happen to live in that area, on that street, actually, 82nd Street in Jackson Heights. But a lot of people don't know. So, how that looks like on 82nd Street, and explain what 82nd Street is.
So I'll start with who we are. 82nd Street is a commercial district. Our organization is a business improvement district that provides supplemental services to the district. So we do beautification. That means we do that planting. We do tree guards. I mean, we do holiday lightings. We maintain the street infrastructure, meaning the benches. And we make sure that the city is paying attention to our district's needs. But we go beyond that. We also help our small businesses. We connect them with government services, to other nonprofits. We advocate for small businesses and just in general for a healthy commercial activity. We happen to be very lucky that our district, even though we are one of the smallest in the city of New York, our district has everything that you will need. From you can go to the bank, pay your utility bills, you can go to your doctor, and at the same time you can shop from a small retailer, at the same time go to a large national retailer. And that is very, very, very unique, especially for a small business improvement district like we are. But then if you come in the afternoon especially, you will see neighbors congregating around our benches and talking and having wonderful conversations. When we do our planting throughout the district, we relied on volunteers. While most of our colleagues around the city paid a contractor, we don't have to, because we just have so many people that want to contribute. And I think that is part of what makes us unique. In the spring and in the summer, we have a park where we provide activities from the youth to the elderly. We do have a large in place elderly community that is the only form of entertainment. So we bring them to them. We connect with the community through their culture as well as their needs. So that's why we also not only do music, but we also will do like healthy eating classes. We will do fitness classes. And those are things that we believe that is part of the base of the community, but we also like to push the boundaries, right? We like to educate people about a green community, how to maintain your community. We do education of how to report issues in the community, because we want an active community that works side by side with us to just not only have a thriving commercial district, but also a thriving community.
And the name of the organization is 82nd Street Partnership. And Jackson Heights, there's 82nd Street. So is there any correlation, and where to where, from which avenue to which avenue would you consider your district?
So, yes, our name is the 82nd Street Partnership, but legally we are what we call we are a 82nd Street District Management Association, also known as a Business Improvement District. So we have legal boundaries that were drawn in collaboration with the city council. We were established through a city legislation. We do not replace government services. We supplement government services. For example, we don't do the garbage pickup and hauling outside of the neighborhood, but we do maintain garbage cans throughout the neighborhood, and we have a sanitation team that sweep the streets. That's the work that normally the business would do, but instead we do it for our partners. Our legal boundaries are from 37th Avenue, actually it's slightly north of 37th Avenue, all the way down past Roosevelt to Baster. So it's like a little bit of like a kind of almost kitty corner from Elmhurst Hospital. We are a very small district, about we could say about 2 blocks, but within those 2 blocks we have approximately 200 businesses, which many people do not realize. Our foot traffic in our district rivals many bits in larger or more popular destination, even in Brooklyn. We have been looking at those numbers, and it's kind of impressive how much commercial and foot traffic we have in our district.
Yes, it's very congested
Yeah,
during the rush hours.
it is. It is. It is.
Which is the fun of that's the fun of it, and it's a distinct. What makes it distinct,
Yeah.
especially that intersection with Roosevelt Avenue and all the food trucks and
Yeah.
all the small businesses. And you've been executive director for many years.
Correct.
How did you see that district change and all the businesses? Is it for the better? Did it lose some of its charm? With
Yeah, I mean, we have, yeah, I have been seeing the change. I think this is in New York City. The just like the communities, the cultural of the communities, also the commercial activities change. We have seen more recognizable or modern chain stores, but we have always had those. It just what we had in the 80s is not what we have right now, but they're still national retailers. So we do have had more, I think, than before. However, our small businesses continue to thrive in our district. And because the beauty without the small businesses, those large retailers would not survive because people come to our district for those unique products. They come from the doctor, they come from the lawyer, and then they stay for the shopping. Because to be honest, they can go to other neighborhoods for those retailers, but having that cultural blending in that our small businesses provide is what makes us unique and what makes people want to come to 82nd Street. We have people that come all the way from the tri-state area, and let's be honest, they don't come from the large retailers. They come from the empanadas. They might come from their lawyer who speaks Spanish or the doctor who speaks Spanish, and then they stayed for the rest. So that is, I think, what makes us unique. We have gone through multiple crises. I think right now is probably one of the most challenging times that we have seen with the attack on the immigrant, especially the Latino population. We have seen, I'm not only seen it, but we have heard from a lot of our businesses that commerce is down. The Latino community is the bread and butter of 82nd Street. And when they're afraid to come out, our small businesses suffer. And not only, actually, I shouldn't say small businesses, all the businesses along 82nd Street suffer. So that is, a huge challenge that we still trying to figure out how to tackle and how to help. When the pandemic happened, we partner with Foundation, the Van Allen Institute, and the Urban Design Forum, and we help the businesses build outdoor dinings. We help them file for grants and loans, and all the businesses that we help survive the pandemic. This is a whole new challenge that we still don't have an infrastructure at the city level or state level to help the businesses that are going to be suffering because the attack on our community.
Yeah, those are challenging times. And I want to go a little bit back with your career journey and talk about why did you join 82nd Street Partnership, and what looked like your career before that?
Yeah. So before I joined the 82nd Street Partnership, I had worked in government. I'd we talked about this before, where early on in my career, I started in the social service field, and there it was a little bit frustrating. Me coming from a Latino poor community, seeing that the system and the rules that were established did not really meet or understood their clients that they were serving. Most of my friends went into social work school, and I'm like, no, I'm going to be and change the entire system. But that led me into public management, and that also led me to be more interested in economic development and community development and public finance, based on my experience of growing up in a community that there was always part of urban redevelopment. And after many years in working in government, I missed that connection at the community level. So when this position came up, a friend called me and said, "Hey, do you see this?" And it was not only working with in the ground; it was also working with the Latino community. At that time, there was a lot of conversation of how a community should be looking, what it meant to be, was going to be the impact of beautification in the community. And I said, I want to be part of that conversation. I wanted to be part of elevating our community. I believe that beautification doesn't lead to gentrification. I believe that we need to be working for having a strong economic opportunities for a community, but we also have to have healthy, green, beautiful community that impact the perception of our youth, and that impacts the mental health of our community. So I don't that that's what is the controversy is kind of, and working with the Latino community is what kind of attracts me to the position.
Do you think you made the right choice not going into social work? Do you ever regret it?
Um, no, I think I made the right decision. Personally, I'm an empath, and it was always very difficult for me to separate my emotions and my feelings from that of my clients. And that is not the best skill to be working in direct service, in social service. I admire those people who are committed to the causes and are able to, separate, compartmentalize, and just happen not to be that person. But I don't regret it at all. I think I have also opened the door for others to see that giving back to the community comes in different forms. So I'm happy with my career path.
And in 82nd Street Partnership, I'm assuming you work with other organizations in the community. What other organizations in Jackson Heights do you partner with? I know there's one, the Beautification Group. Speaking of beautification,
Yes.
is that one of them?
Yeah, so I have to say, like, people always ask me how I do so much with so little. We have a very tiny budget for an organization, and the reason I'm able to do so much with so little is because of partners. We partnered with the 34th Avenue Coalition. When it comes to like a small business assistant, we work with a company capital. We work with the Queens Business Chamber, with Queens EDC, Elmhurst Hospital. And I feel that these organizations, they're like kind of our tentacle that allows to reach a broader audience. Whenever I get a grant that I feel that we can share outside of our community, I will reach out to a company capital to make sure that we can have, you know, help also the South Asian community. So it is those partners that have make us a successful organization.
And are those partnerships help build the community connections?
Uh,
Im-
yeah, I think that they have. Many times, people, for example, that they liked would like more activities even through the winter,
Yeah.
I would tell them you got to go to 34th Avenue. People that might want to do work on a food pantry, I would, say this. We're not doing food pantries on a regular basis, but these organizations you can join. When we have small businesses that need assistance, I will reach out to the other organizations in the neighborhood. So it's not, even though we're doing referrals, they also help us build that trust with our community. And so whenever we need something, we also get on the phone and say, I need volunteers. And them, along with the volunteers that hear about what we need through social media, we create a very robust team.
So if somebody wants to volunteer or be involved in the community, like
Mm-hmm.
I live in Jackson
Yeah.
Heights, and I know the Lions food pantry
Yep.
in the church, they seek volunteers,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes you don't know where to look for volunteering opportunities. Is 82nd Street Partnership a good resource for that, or it just happened that they call you and they ask
Yeah,
you?
it just happened that people will call and they will ask, right? Or it might be that we will have a public event and people will come to us at those events and say, I want to continue to volunteer. Not long ago, I had one of your neighbors and say, hey, I know about you guys. I live in this neighborhood, but I don't know how to connect to the neighborhood. And he came into the office. We had a long conversation. We talked about all the opportunities and events that happen on Jackson Heights and Elmhurst, and the organizations that he can contribute to. So we are a small organization, so we don't have volunteer opportunities on a regular basis, but our neighbors do.
And Jackson Heights is so diverse. There's so many languages spoken.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I read more than 60%. English is not their first language.
Correct.
Do you cater to all these needs, or it's mostly the Latino population?
So I do mention the Latino population because it's
Yes.
it's the largest group in our district. I happen to speak Spanish. We are located in Calle, Colombia, but it's not the only one that we cater. So that's why I depend on partners to reach out to other communities when I cannot speak the language of our of our neighbors. One of our board members, he's Indian. When I wanted to encourage some of the smaller businesses that are Indian, they might not feel comfortable speaking with me, so I sent him. I'm like, can you call them? Can you talk to them for us? One of your board members, he's very young, so through him, I'm trying to engage more the younger entrepreneurs in our district. So it is doing the right match for our businesses and for our community that is important. There's so many languages, there's no way that we can cover them all. But that's the beauty of Jackson Heights, is that you have so many resources that you can tap into.
True. And as a leader, what resources and infrastructure do you have to keep people calm and also to move forward as a leader and as an organization?
Um, can you can you elaborate a little bit more on that question?
Sure. So you do a lot of things, and I'm assuming a lot of the things that you do, it's also outside in the community as well as in the office. And you mentioned the attacks that happen and the small businesses, and you partner with a lot of organizations. How do you keep all this balanced and towards a certain goal?
Um, so I kind of divide of the work that we do, right? There's the basic work that we are contracted to do, and that is just maintaining a clean and safe district for our businesses. And then the next layer that I would have is making sure that we have resilient businesses in our district, because if those are kind of like the base of what we do, and then I make sure I have a connection with our businesses and I hear from them so I can advocate. Everything else is kind of like the icing and the cake. we just happen to be very lucky that we have a community that allows that icing to be even bigger than the cake, because I can partner with multiple organizations to provide the community access to the multiple needs that they have. So I balance them by making sure that we are very clear about our limitations and what we can provide. For some businesses, I mean, nonprofits that want to do health outreach, we if depending on the timing, we might take the lead in providing the setup, but sometimes I'd be like, okay, we help you through the permitting process, but we need you to take the lead during this time because it would not be possible for us. Outside, when I get out of work, I also volunteer at a local bookstore. Is also a nonprofit, so I make sure that I need to at least stop by every day. I would help them access grants and resources. Whenever there's events, I try to go and support. I also foster and rescue cats, so my hands are a little bit full. But it is about knowing yourself, right? It's about knowing when you have the room to give a lot, and knowing when you need to step back. And that comes with experience sometimes. We just testing the water and testing the limits of what we can and cannot do.
Is there one success story of a business or organization that you helped and it really stayed with you throughout these years?
You know what? Yes. And I mean, there are multiple, but one that touched me, I think, the most was right in the middle of the pandemic. And this business happened to be right outside of our district. And I had the opportunity to help our business, like the most vulnerable businesses build outdoor dining. Like we were very selective. We wanted to help those that we knew didn't have the funds or the language skills to apply for outdoor dining. And I remember going to one of the businesses and offering them services. And the place was empty. The owner was sitting on a two-top table, and he just looked sad and looks depressed. And he was, it was the first time we talked, and he was like, yes, he went. And then just go back and seeing how happy he was, how grateful, how he basically we help his business survive. And it also happened that at the same time his wife was going through cancer there, and it was like that I would stay with me because it was the moment, the face, this expression that I cannot get out of my head no matter how much time passes, because it's like desperation to joy, and it's very few opportunities, and hopefully it's something that I don't want it to be need to repeat, but it's something that makes me very grateful for not only the work that I do, the passion that I have to help people, but also to those partners that came to the table and gave me a call and said, how can we help? And I think that is what we do. It is, it's to build and help and prosperity for all.
That's wonderful because Jackson Heights was very affected during the pandemic. I mean, everywhere was, but Corona, Jackson Heights. And I remember we interviewed dance studio. Probably you know the dance studio on the corner of Roosevelt and
yes,
82nd.
Ursula. Yeah.
Yes, and I don't know why it's a story that stayed with me, but he was sharing that they put all their life savings into the school.
Yep.
And it was recent, and I believe they were not documented or they were waiting for their documents. There was something like that. And I think the community then came together and they made it through the pandemic. The school survived even afterwards.
Yep.
I believe it closed its doors a while ago.
Yeah, they actually moved.
Okay,
so and
that's
then
great that they didn't close.
no, they didn't close.
Okay.
And the couple who owned and operated the studio, they both have different enterprises right now, but they still doing dance classes, and they still have their dance competition team. They're amazing. They are still in Queens, and they still doing programming in Queens. But so they were fantastic. Sadly, that building sold, and they had to relocate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The ever-changing community.
Correct.
Where do you see in the future 82nd Street partnership? Where do you want to see it?
Right now we are still rebuilding from I think the period of the pandemic where we had a surge on quality of life issues that impacted not only our businesses but impacted the district infrastructure. So right now we are putting all our effort into rebuilding our street, our beautification. You're going to see this spring again for the first time since the pandemic. Tulips come up again in the spring. So right now, our focus is sort of bring that pre-pandemic feeling and green community. I still see I want us to continue to be a place where people can start their business. We lost some of the elders during the pandemic that kind of retire. So I want to see more of the youth, more of the bilingual people coming and choosing our district to start their business and to be there. I see ourselves continue to be a model of how large chain stores can thrive with new and small entrepreneurs, and how we can have a beautiful, clean, strong commercial district, even within a community that at times might seem disadvantaged.
Great. Looking forward to that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Since I live in the area.
I know, yes.
And my last question, I always ask the same question to all of my guests. If someone wanted to experience Jackson Heights the way you do, what is one place you would send them to? It can be a restaurant or a park, whichever it is.
It's not one place. I would say walk. I would start, maybe go up 73rd Street and then continue walking down the district, because it's so beautiful how, and I experience this on a daily basis, how you go from basically one culture, one language, another culture, another language. I think that's what's the beauty of, Jackson Heights, where you start on 73rd Street, and you have the Bengali community, 74, the Indian community, and then as you move through the 80s, you have the Spanish language community with multiple accents. And if you pay attention you see the American indigenous community thriving within our community, not just 82nd Street. So I have a lot of advice if you want to stop in different places and eat, but to experience the community, you have to walk the community.
I know exactly what you mean when you were talking about walking from 73rd, especially on Roosevelt, but even on 37th Avenue. You just experience this shift of different communities. And sometimes people ask me, what is your favorite place to eat? Yep. It's so hard to answer because depending what you're in a mood for, it can be tacos on 75th and Roosevelt.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I tell people when people ask me, what is your favorite places to eat? And let's say tacos. Well, if you ask me for tacos al pastor, that's a different place than the tacos al birria. So I have different dishes and different locations that I like. And also it depends on the mood that I'm in. If I want to just go and have a drink with someone, it's like, do I want a quiet place or do I want somewhere to be vibrant and fun? And it is the diversity of the food makes it is wonderful, but at the same time makes it hard to just pick one place.
Yes. Yeah. And I always mention Terraza Siete.
Oh, yes.
Because live music, people ask me, where can you get live music? But Latin jazz in Terraza City is just epic.
Yes.
And the place is so different.
Yeah, it is. It's Terraza Siete you have, and then on 80th you have Barco de Papel is New York City's only Spanish language bookstore. They are the only surviving. They've been there for over 20 years. And they also have like poetry nights. They have all these events. And then, you can go down to Diversity Plaza and catch a free, dance in events. And that's like the beauty of the community. If you want to watch sport, you go to 37, you go to Las Margaritas or Barriles or Leo's on Roosevelt Avenue. That is why there's so many choices, right? It's like highbrow and lowbrow. You got it
Yeah.
all.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
People should just come to Jackson Heights and experience it, because talking about it is just very different than
Yeah.
when you come and experience it. But thank you so much for being here and
Thank-
taking your time to speak to us.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I hope that we meet up on 37
Oh,
and 82nd
definitely.
Street. Yeah,
Definitely.
Thank you.
That's it for today's show. I'll see you next time on Around Queens.